Hello and welcome to another edition of the Eternal Spirit Show on Felixstowe TV. But where's Paul, I hear you ask? Well,
but he's over there.
I'm over here, John.
Yeah, because we turned the tables on him and we're going to interview him and find out what makes him tick. Aren't we, Paul?
You pulled a fast one, I reckon.
I did.
Yeah.
So what's it like being interviewed for a change?
I don't know yet, John. You let's find out, shall we?
Well, you see, everyone knows, everyone who watches Felixstowe TV knows that Paul's a medium, but what did he do before that? He's got an interesting career, and we're going to have a chat to him about his mediumship, but I want to concentrate on your early life, if you don't mind, Paul.
Be my guest. What?
Be my guest.
Anyway, so you were a black belt, I believe. You got involved in martial arts. How did that happen?
I began at the age of 14, which does seem a long time ago now, John.
Right.
But I keep my hand in, not as much as I used to. But it was a large chunk of my life, which I dedicated a lot of years to. It was hard work, but I got my third dan and kept me fit, and I could look after myself.
So
I like to think so.
Oh, so I better not do anything like that because you'll react.
Be careful.
So what is a dan then? Is that just some sort of grade?
It's
or?
another grade of black belts. You
Right.
keep the black belt, but you go up a notch or two.
So how many dans are there?
Depends what club or society you belong to, or which school of karate.
Right.
But I stopped at 3.
Did you? So you don't do martial arts now, or do you just still practice?
No,
a
I
bit,
just
or?
practice by myself in the garage, keep fit on the punch bag and running, jogging, and teach my children.
Oh, right. So no one's going to ever pick on you then?
Well, hopefully not, fingers crossed.
Do you have any heroes in martial arts, like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris?
They're heroes, but I did admire Bruce Lee when I was younger. And I went to his conventions and his fan clubs, if you like, and had his poster up in my bedroom wall. But
He was a bit of an icon in the 70s.
bit of an icon, yes.
Yeah, I remember Enter the Dragon. That was one of his best films.
That's right. But you're dating me a bit now, John.
Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on from the martial arts.
So you also understand the Morris man. I mean, that's a rather strange transition from martial arts, isn't it?
One extreme to another, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was invited by chance. I was in the pub one day dressed in my leather gear, and it's through a friend of a friend. He said, he came up to me and said, "Hey geezer, you look good. You ought to be one of us." I said, "Well, who are you?" And he said, "I'm a Morris dancer." And call it luck or fate or synchronicity, I saw him on telly a few weeks before.
Did you?
But I didn't recognise him. I was watching the Cilla Black show,
Right.
and all these leather-clad Morris dancers appeared, and I watched it with my mum. And I said, "That's me. That's what I want to do." Lo and behold, the guy came in the pub. He knew my friend.
Isn't
That's
that
how it took
strange?
off, yeah. But I didn't know they were my local team at my local side at the time. You know, I just saw them on telly, and I just knew I had to do that with those guys.
So you actually became a bit of a cult figure when you were in this Morris. What, was it the Royal Liberty Morris men?
That's correct. But
You were on TV,
yeah,
weren't you?
also known as the Heavy Metal Morris men.
Right.
We did pucker, as we call it, Morris dancing.
Right.
With the waistcoats, Cotswold, different styles of Morris dancing, Cotswold and Border, which I won't go into now, traditional Morris dancing. But on the other hand, we thought, well, let's keep it up to date. So we did dance in leather jackets and what we wore.
Yeah.
Because it did turn out there's a lot of us young men who are bikers, except me, I didn't have a bike. But I wore the leather jacket, and we looked cool at the time. We like to think so. And we danced in our normal gear. And we ended up on television, on tour, up and down the country.
On tour?
On tour, mini
Yeah.
tour, doing regional TV programmes. We went to France and Germany. And in our leather jackets, doing the heavy metal Morris thing with scaffold poles and boots, you know. But at the same time, we would do the traditional dancing. Like one week, we supported Spinal Tap at the Albert Hall.
Oh, I remember those, yeah.
So we were there like giving out autographs, which it was good for the ego, I must admit. But the week after, we'd be doing a Village of Fate. So we're dancing in front of thousands of people one week, the next week, like a couple of hundred in our traditional gear. So, but we had 2 good years on television, and it's marvellous.
Stay with the folk theme.
Yeah.
I understand you were actually the founder of the Suffolk Folk Festival. So what is the Folk Festival about, and why did you decide to start one?
we danced all over the country as the Royal Liberty Morris Men in different folk activities and festivals. And I thought, hang on, we haven't got one in Suffolk. There was a Felixstowe, big Felixstowe festival years ago, but nothing known as a Suffolk folk festival. And as you do the dishes on a Sunday afternoon at home, so I'm washing up. Then I had a vision.
Right.
And I saw, like clairvoyantly, I saw the Suffolk Folk Festival with people watching and taking part. And I thought, that's what I have to do. And,
Right.
and we went from there. One year, I began with half a dozen Morris teams in Suffolk. Then, like the year after that, in summer, we had 60 different teams over the weekend dancing. I organised camping, pub sessions, evening ceilidh, workshops, and dancing in Suffolk.
Right.
But now, like other things, I've moved on.
Right. It's still going on though. This
It's
festival.
still going on, but I knew my time was done. I wanted to move on to other things.
Right.
So I've done my bit
Move on.
and move on. That's typical of me, I'm afraid.
Yes, yeah, well, I've known you for quite a while, I know you like that. Well, moving on from that, it brings us to this. You became a publisher. So that's, that's a big leap, excuse the pun from Morris dancing and all the rest of it. So what made you get into publishing and writing?
I was in publishing anyway. I worked for a newspaper in London,
Were you? Oh,
Yeah.
right. Which paper?
the Voice newspaper.
All right.
And what I enjoyed was the hustle and bustle, seeing a product come out of nowhere or from nothing.
Yeah.
And it's my job to create the finished article from the photographs and the editing, and put a magazine together. So I was responsible for the finished product. And I thought, well, I don't know, I fancy my own magazine. I can see what's done. And I thought, well, I'm into folk music. Let's create a folk magazine.
Right.
And not just music, but about British traditions and customs,
Which is this one?
which is that one first. But then I moved on to becoming involved in mediumship clairvoyance. So I discovered, or I founded Eternal Spirit, another
Right.
magazine.
And this is Toya Wilcox. You did an interview with her.
Interviewed Toya. And so I designed the magazine, took some photographs,
Yeah.
but I did have a team of people writing for me as well.
So these are basically interviews with mediums,
Yeah.
book reviews, your stars. Oh, even yoga.
Yeah.
So
Mind,
it's-
body and spirit, John.
Right. So how long did this last? This Eternal Spirit.
Well, it's. I've just made the decision that I need to take it further.
Right.
I realise I've taken it as far as I can by myself,
Right.
because I publish at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it needs to be wider and bigger, to a bigger audience.
Right.
So as it stands, I've sort of come to a halt for the moment,
Okay.
or a little rest, and I may do it online, but I might need some outside help.
Right. So these may be resurrected, in other words.
It'd be nice if it was, if they were.
Yeah. Well, they're very good magazines, and there's nothing really like this around at the moment, is there? I mean, this
No.
one about folk traditions is, you've got some lovely photos in here, and very
Yeah.
interesting articles, again about Morris men.
You see, traditions and customs aren't per se, they're not old hat, they're still going on. And I wanted people to know about them.
Yeah.
Like Eternal Spirit, my message is to let people know about life after life. And how can I do it?
Right.
Well, I've got a publishing background, hence the magazine,
Right.
and hence my show, which you're doing at the moment.
Yes.
So the big question, Paul,
Yeah.
how did you become a medium?
Going back in time, when I was about 4, might have been 5 years old,
Right.
I realised we were going to die one day. And I had a fear. I thought, God, I know it sounds ridiculous at a young age, thinking, oh, I'm going to die one day. And I'd have panic attacks. And these lasted until I was about 30 years old. Now, a friend of mine said, he told me he goes to a spiritualist church, which I knew nothing about. And I thought, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's keep him company. So I went along. And the medium that evening said, I have a message from your dad who just passed on.
Right.
Not only from him, but from my best mate who died as well.
Okay.
after, I thought, my goodness, we don't die. She's passing on a message, an evidential message about my dad. And that blew my mind.
Right.
And I thought, I must find out more. So I read books, talked to lots of people. But then I keep going back to the church, and every time I went back, the medium that night would say, you'll be doing this one day. And I thought, well, I thought you had to be born into it. And, well, in a way we are. We each have some sort of gift inside us anyway.
Right.
And it just needs encouraging out, you see.
Training, in other
Training,
words.
if you like.
Yeah.
And so I sat in a circle, which is a term we use for a development group of like-minded people who want to become mediums or a bit more aware, shall we say.
Right.
And as time went by, I learned more, I made contact with the spirit world, and they contact me, and hence I'm a medium.
So, and I believe you got the name Eternal Spirit psychically as well.
Yeah, for my dad.
Right. So what happened exactly?
Yeah, for my dad.
Right. So what happened exactly?
Exactly. I knew I wanted the name Spirit involved
Right.
to let people know what the magazine's about, but I didn't know what else to call it. And at home I've got this huge dictionary, must be that thick. It's a very old one. I lay it down, I said to my dad, Dad, come on, help choose a name for me. So I opened the book, I said, oh, here's my finger. Dad, can you stop it? I flick a page, say stop, and blow me down, the finger landed at the word eternal. It could have been anything you like.
Well, that would have been an odd title for a magazine, wouldn't it?
Cucumber.
Cucumber.
But Eternal Spirit. And now, is that luck? Is it synchronicity? I know what it is,
Yeah.
what I believe it is. It's my dad helping me.
Yeah.
And now I want to help others.
Now I understand you had a strange experience in your kitchen. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. That's before I became a medium.
Was it? Before you
yeah,
became,
yeah. Before I went to the church, actually. Again, I'm in the kitchen doing the washing up,
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
do. And my dad just passed away a few months before. This is going back to he passed in 1991. This must be a few months afterwards. Doing the washing up. Then, and it wasn't light, the sun wasn't shining. But all of a sudden, the kitchen lit up in an orange glow, like brilliant sunshine. And the voice said to me, everything's going to be fine. No, everything's going to be all right. But at the same time, I felt the love in my heart. And it's like, well, it was nothing, the feeling was like nothing on earth. So much love, and I call it an angelic conversion, if you like. And it's a few weeks after that I got invited to the church.
Right.
So I think they were lining me up for something.
So you believe that was connected, that event?
Yeah. I think they were lining me up ready to start work.
Right. So being a medium then, I mean, what exactly happens? Do you hear voices in your head? Do you actually see spirit people? How does it work?
When I first began, I could see spirit people like I'm looking at you now. I'd have a client or someone I want to give a message to, and their loved ones would come in and show them to me. And
Now, were they solid? Or
solid as
right.
like you now.
Right, okay.
Over time, the technique of what they're teaching me has changed. So I see things in my head like a vision.
Right.
Right. Now and again it happens that I see things
Yeah.
like where you are. I hear voices, and something else, I get clairsentience, which is a knowing.
Right.
Like we've been out on ghost hunts, haven't we?
We have, yeah. We're going to talk about that a bit later.
But sometimes I say to you, I just know this happened. Now I'm not being told, I don't see it, I just know. So there's like an inner seeing, like a vision or voices or a knowing.
Now, have you
Got
got
a spirit guide? Because I know many mediums have, or all mediums are supposed to have a spirit guide. What is a spirit guide, and have you got one?
I've certainly got one.
Right.
I've got quite a few actually.
Right.
And they all work in different ways. I won't go into who they are
Yeah.
or what they are. But some guides come in to give you philosophy. Some come in to actually talk to me, hence the voices. And they come in for different things. Some come in to help with my natural everyday life.
Do they?
So, like we all need a bit of guidance in our life, and,
Yes.
and they're there for us.
So there's one thing I'm going to have to ask you. I've often wondered this. I mean, are they with us, spirits? Are they with us all the time? Because I often wonder, it's a bit, you know, if you were having a bath.
No, they don't. No,
I
can't answer
mean,
that one for you. They come in to help us when we
Right.
need help. Right. And they do watch us. They come in and say how you're getting on and all
Yeah.
this. But your private life is yours.
Oh, good.
And I think they do turn a blind eye, believe me. So
I hope so.
no problems there, John.
Yeah, I was just a bit worried about if you're in the bath. I wouldn't like to think there's about 6 spirits
Not
around
me neither.
watching and saying, "Oh,
Me
well,
neither.
he,
But
he missed that, but he didn't wash it properly or something."
So tell me about the afterlife then. Heaven, what exactly is it? Is it the, you know, the vision that we get from the church, like clouds and angels? What is heaven?
heaven is what you make it, I believe.
Right.
I haven't. I believe I've been on the edge of heaven. I have actually travelled and saw my dad, and he said, "No, it's not your time yet." I was fortunate. I was able to. It's difficult to describe to you. I was able to.
So you basically almost died once, and if you...
No, I didn't. It wasn't an out-of-body experience. It wasn't a near-death experience. I just travelled, meditated, and I actually travelled.
Okay.
I saw my dad, and I just wanted to say hello, and I came back. But I do believe we make our own heaven on earth. What we sow here, we reap in heaven. I mean, I want to see my family, so when I pass over, I'll be with my family.
Right.
I don't ask for anything more. And like attracts like.
Right.
So maybe if you're bad here, you take your personality over. I don't want to say you'd be bad in heaven, but you go to that dimension, which is what you deserve. You get what you want.
Right. So there are different dimensions in. That's
Or
what
you
you're
get
saying.
you get as you deserve, shall we say?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, do we ever come back? Can you come back? Because I was told by one medium that I'd been here before.
Oh, reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe you can. I've got no evidence myself, even though I can communicate spiritually with those who've departed. Myself, I've got no evidence for reincarnation,
Right.
so I don't actually know. But my inner self does believe we do come back
Right.
to learn other lessons in life.
Right. Can we come back loads of times, or is there a set number of times we can come back?
I've been told you can come back as much as you like.
Really?
But then again, I can't give you that as evidence.
Yeah.
That's what I hear, that's what I've been told.
Right. So you've never been regressed or anything like that to experience anything from a past life?
I've always fancied a simple life, you know.
Yeah.
I said to my wife once, why can't I just be a wood chopper and chop down wood all day in a forest? Then a medium said to me once on earth, you were a wood chopper.
Really?
Yeah. And so that answered that lesson. So maybe part of that is still with me.
Well, when I spoke to a medium, she told me I'd been an English Civil War general. Moving on to something else, you practice psychometry. Now, many people out there won't know what that is, so would you just like to tell them what psychometry means?
Psychometry is a term.
Right.
Like if, well, I believe every object has its own memory.
Right.
So if I hold an object, I can get feelings from that object or the history about it, or see who it belonged to, maybe a watch or an earring, or it can be a big object or small. And hopefully it will tell me a bit of the history of that thing, of that item. And doing that is called psychometry, which I didn't know I could do until you handed me something once.
Yes.
Really.
Well, what basically happened, the first time me and Paul ever met, he was doing a radio show, which we're going to talk about a bit later, and I surprised him and I said, well, I've got an object here, would you like to hold it and see if you pick anything up? And it's actually a Napoleonic button from the Battle of Waterloo, and you held it.
I held it like this.
Yeah, you held it like that, and you started to pick up images of the battlefield and even the personality of Napoleon.
Yeah.
And,
I
he
don't-
didn't know anything about it. I hadn't told him it was a button from Waterloo.
The last time I did psychometry, I did try it once, it was about 10 years ago. I thought nothing of it. Well, I was amazed, but nothing until you handed me this. And what amazed me was, I didn't look at it. You didn't tell me what it was. And I picked up Napoleon. And I felt his personality. I felt his strength. I felt his persona. And I told you, and you said, yes, that was a Napoleonic button. and I picked up this character. And since then I've gone on to handle other objects, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I love it.
We were mentioning the radio. So how did you get involved in being a broadcaster?
Purely by accident.
Really?
There's a lot of synchronicity in my life, I reckon.
There seems to be. Because this was for a community radio station in Ipswich.
In Ipswich, yeah. I was interviewed about my magazine, and purely and simple, they just said, you know your subject about, well, I like to think so, about mediumship, would I like my own show? And I said, oh yes please, that sounds interesting, in for a penny.
Right.
So for about 2.5 years I presented the Eternal Spirit show, named after my magazine.
Right.
I interviewed guests, interviewed you.
You did. A few times, actually.
Look where we are now.
Exactly. Well, we actually met through that show, didn't we?
Yeah.
So synchronicity again.
So we've gone from there to working on Felixstowe TV. Where I now present the Eternal Spirit show.
Yeah.
For the TV.
So which brings us on to Felixstowe TV.
Yeah.
Now you've got 2 shows.
Yeah.
You've got obviously this one, which I'm just doing for the week.
Yeah.
And you'll be coming back and doing more shows later on in the year. But we also do the East Anglian Ghost Hunters.
Well, the other one is a joint show.
Yes, yeah. I'm the co-host and Sarah Jones as well.
Yeah.
And would you like to tell them, basically, in case they haven't watched it, what it's about and how we started
Yeah,
it?
it's your idea. You said to me, you fancy presenting a ghost show. Would I be interested in ghost hunting? Now, at first I wasn't too sure, because being a clairvoyant medium or psychic medium, I like to deal with those who are here and passed on. Now, a ghost to me is just a recording. It's not a personality.
In other words, it's a residual
Yeah.
haunting. In other words, a recording.
A recording,
as you say,
which
like
is
videotape.
played back at different times of the day and different weather conditions. But I said, yes, okay, John, let's see how it goes. And it's amazing. Because my spirit guides actually contact me and let me know what happened. Like our first one in Wickford.
Wickham Market.
Wickham Market.
Pottsford Wood.
Oh, it's a long time ago now.
Yeah. June it was. Yeah.
I picked up there was a murder, they told me. They told me the murder weapon, that there was a hanging that took place. Now that wasn't the ghost I saw, that's my spirit guides telling me about it. But then I went on to pick up the personality of the person who was hung and the murder victim.
Yeah.
And we've done a few since. And it's well, how do you find it? I find it absolutely amazing. Because my spirit guides actually contact me and let me know what happened. Like our first one in Wickford.
Wickham Market.
Wickham Market.
Pottsford Wood.
Oh, it's a long time ago now.
Yeah. June it was. Yeah.
I picked up there was a murder, they told me. They told me the murder weapon, that there was a hanging that took place. Now that wasn't the ghost I saw, that's my spirit guides telling me about it. But then I went on to pick up the personality of the person who was hung and the murder victim.
Yeah.
And we've done a few since. And it's well, how do you find it? I find it absolutely amazing.
Well,
It was actually there, she wasn't residual,
No,
she was in the wood, and Sarah picked it up as well.
she wasn't a ghost, she was an actual spiritual person
Yeah,
who passed over and come back to visit.
yeah.
And she was amazed at what we were doing.
Yeah, because I remember Sarah saying that she was watching us and laughing.
Yeah, so Sarah picked her up as well.
Yeah,
And let's see how it goes, John, it's fascinating.
yeah. Well, the last one we did was Leiston Abbey, and you had a strange experience along with Sarah. We'd actually stopped filming, and we were talking, and I was taking a few photographs, and, well, what happened?
Well, as we walked off camera, something black went behind our legs. And it wasn't human, it was like a ball of black, well, black ball, if you like.
about the size of a dog, wasn't it, you said?
Size of a dog, medium-sized dog, and it went straight into the wall of a monastery.
Yeah.
So where did it go? What was it?
Exactly. Could it have been the legendary Black Shuck, the ghost dog?
Well, I hope not, because that brings bad news, doesn't it?
Apparently so, but I spoke to a chap who saw Black Shuck,
Yeah.
and nothing ever happened to him, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm still here so far.
Yeah,
Touch wood.
touch wood. Have you got some wood here?
And Sarah.
Yeah.
So So another thing, I understand that you're going to write a book, or you're writing a book,
right.
your autobiography.
Yeah, I've written it really for the sake of my family.
Okay.
Something to hand down to my children and their children's children. I've always kept a diary,
Yes.
and I've always been interested in writing. And I think the subject of clairvoyance is fascinating.
Mm.
So basically the book, it's about me, but it's about my spiritual journey
Okay.
as I've handed it on to the boys. But a publisher has shown interest in it.
Really? So when's
So-
that going to be on the
Who knows?
the
It's
shelves?
still being edited, John.
Is it?
And but who knows?
Yeah.
It's
I understand you were going to do 2 volumes. One was going to be up to the time you joined that radio station, and then the second volume was going to be after we met, and basically
Yeah.
what we're doing now.
Well, I thought, I wrote it leading up to the radio station, but since then, a lot more has happened.
Yes.
Like Felixstowe TV,
Yeah.
meeting you,
Mm.
and so yes, there's more to come.
Mm. Which brings me to our last question.
Mm.
So what does the future hold for Paul Salmon?
I'm not a fortune teller,
Mm.
but hopefully, basing it on that I want to spread the word of eternal life. Different media things, like what we're doing now, I'd like to continue my Eternal Spirit show. Hopefully the radio, if that takes off, in different avenues.
Mm.
And to let people know about eternal life, and I enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
And if I can make other people happier, then so be it.
Right. Well, that's a good way to end it. Well, thanks for coming on your show.
Oh, thanks for doing my job, John.
Yes, but next week you'll be back.
I'll be back.
Yeah, so thanks.
Well done.